Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Superstars of Wrestling Review Series, January 24th, 1987 is our episode for this moment. I did find a few more from 88 and 89, so those will be up to date as well. Survivor Series 2020 edition will be up before the end of the day or into tomorrow, depending on my schedule. Anyway, so lots of good stuff here, and we are rolling right along. My goal is to start the Mid-South series, Mid-South Wrestling series this week, so that'll be another 200, 250 episodes or so. I wish there was more stuff available from 79 through 81, but that is not the case. Anyway, as we move into the superstars for this particular edition, Paul Roma is a part of the festivities here. Bobby Heenan brings out Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. Odd that Roma and Orndorff, who later become tag team champions with each other, part of Pretty Wonderful in 1994 WCW, are combatants here. Remember that Orndorff goes down with an injury in the summer of 87. Actually, no. Goes down with an injury at the end of 87. Actually gets the injury several months before, but is out of WWF by 1988. But here, he is still considered a possibility as a backup for the individual who is going to represent the heel antagonist for Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 3 should Andre the Giant be unable to perform. It was he and Randy Savage who were top three in contention, or top two in contention, should Andre be unable to perform. And there's various conjecture as to whether that was going to be an issue or not, or whether that was blown out of proportion. None of us will know because Andre isn't here, but certainly having surgery is a big part of that. Anyway, Orndorff hits a pile driver early. Actually, Roma ends up going sideways, literally sideways on that in the pile driver, and we kind of see some big splashes in the corner by Bundy and Studd. Bundy and Studd, a tag team that I think could have gone further had John Studd kind of been there. They also do a music video kind of highlighting that. We actually go to an event center style promo. King Kong Bundy talks about wrestling, of all people, Kamala. Bundy and Kamala. Not exactly a pretty match, but I could see where it would have draw. We are moving quickly towards WrestleMania 3. Here, about 2 months away, something like that. Koko Ware up next in an enhancement match. Koko, of course, coming in 86, getting a major push for the next couple of years. Mike Sharp provides his competition here this week. Sharp actually, at the time, was an enhancement talent, but a few years before, probably about maybe 4 or 5 years before, had actually had some shots at Bob Backlund when Backlund was world champion. So actually, I'm incorrect here as I'm looking at this. This is Steve Lombardi, not Mike Sharp. The reason that I said this is there is a Mike Sharp episode close by. Anyway, Lombardi goes off the top rope, hits the elbow drop, and I'm sorry for those who always kind of rag on me. Hey, why don't you re-record? And the truth is, because I want this channel to seem human and not pre-produced to the nth degree. Anyway, so Koko hits a few jabs and some drop kicks along the way here. Obviously, Koko's still a big deal at this point. Hits power slam and a top rope drop kick to finish things off. 1, 2, 3. Koko still looking good. Ken Resnick up next in the event center style promos, and Resnick only here for a little while. I don't even know that he's here for a year. Ricky Steamboat out there kind of talking about wanting to get his hands on Randy Savage. Steamboat, of course, being laid out with the crushed larynx at the hands of Savage with the bell in November '86. So he's coming back for the first time in a while. And it's kind of a pretty big deal, kind of a pretty big deal there. We kind of continue going forward, and um, I mean, it's interesting that Steamboat, obviously, who is a major deal here, um, is still struggling. Tag team match, the Can-Am connection is a main component of that. Zinc and um, Zinc and Martel versus, of all people, Bob Orton and Morocco. They end up having a rematch at WrestleMania 3. Um, I did not know, or I did not remember more accurately, um, the history between these teams. They'd wrestled on TV before WrestleMania 3. I thought it was just a thrown together match. Anyway, nice head scissors takeover by Martel. Martel coming off being the AWA champion, which was a pretty big deal. Zinc never really gets his full due and doesn't stay in the WWF much beyond the summer of '87. Mr. Fuji obviously trying to cause trouble. Boxing Bob Orton going into the team with Morocco. Many people would see it as a demotion after his separation from Roddy Piper. Some people like the team. I wasn't around as a fan for the team, so that's kind of an interesting thing. Roll up by the Can-Ams and a kickoff. Martel and Zinc were considered for the tag team championships around the time. I assume they probably would have gotten the belts in the summer to fall of '87 had Zinc stayed, but that obviously eventually went to Strikeforce, Santana, and Martel. Would have been interesting had that maybe Santana had another program at the time. What they would have done with Martel. Um, was he destined for tag teams for a while? Was he going to slow down for a while? Because tag teams are usually used in a lot of cases when guys want to slow down. Nice head scissors takeover by Zinc and a couple. Cheap shot from the outside by um, Orton, and he kind of goes pretty heads up. So that's the back elbow there. Um, and we'll see what we can do. Ultimately, there's a big run there, and a backdrop by the heels on each other. Miscommunication there, and the baby faces, the Can-Am connection hits a double drop kick along the way, and they are successful here. We move to an enhancement or a event center type thing with Ken Resnick. Obviously, hype coming for the match at WrestleMania 3. Billy Jack Haynes literally screaming about his desire to get his hands on Hercules and being one of the best in the area, and also the best with the full Nelson. Randy Macho Man Savage, months away from losing the Intercontinental Championship. Super short match, probably about 2 minutes, if that. And he gets, a body slam, couple back elbows, and the top rope elbow drop. Also, Outback Jack is in a vignette, kind of talking about the wonder of the run as it relates to coming to the World Wrestling Federation. Piper comes out, and Andre the Giant is here. They do the presentation of the 15 years undefeated streak for Andre. Hogan gives him the trophy. The trophy is smaller than the trophy Hogan gets in a couple of weeks, but we don't really see, uh, you know, teases of the turn quite yet. The turn for some people is shocking. You do see Andre kind of glancing at the trophy while Hogan's carrying on, kind of about himself and his own accomplishments. He just spends some time putting over Andre, but it's kind of there. And then we go to a vignette with Jimmy Hart and the Honky Tonk Man. They have a partnership for a couple of years yet, but they kind of do the Heartbreak Hotel, Graceland thing. The Elvis impersonator deal is cemented here. The Hart Foundation Tag Team Champions at this point, I believe, going into an enhancement match. And, Bret Hart takes a few bumps, arm drags, hip tosses, and the like. And, obviously Hart and Neidhart, a big team at the time, and they team on and off from 87 through 91. They're a pretty long term team, and a lot of people consider the Hart Foundation to be one of the better teams in the area. Hart generous with the enhancement talent, giving them a few bumps, including but not limited to a inverted atomic drop. But the Hart Foundation does pick up a decisive win in the end. Speaking of decisive wins, Billy Jack Haynes is looking for one, and he's kind of here, wandering around. But we also see the U.S. Express and Blackjack Mulligan there. Spivey, Rotundo, and Mulligan in a six-man tag match. Mulligan here kind of as a final payday. He'd done a lot of stuff in Florida. Spivey was to be the replacement for Big Barry Windham, which doesn't work out anyway. Spivey does end up getting some press slams, drop kicks, and the like. Tag off to Rotundo. The replacement team doesn't nearly get over nearly as much as the baby faces do at the or the original U.S. Express does at the time. But tag off. Ron Bass is in. Ron Bass has history with, or they're trying to build a history with the wonder that is Blackjack Mulligan. That feud really doesn't pay off, and eventually, I think the thing that Ron Bass is known most for in his run in the WWF is getting his head shaved by Brutus Beefcake in '88. At least to me, that makes sense. Anyway, the baby faces do get a victory. Randy Savage talks about being in an interview one of the best Intercontinental Champions of all time, if not the best of all time. Still wants to get rid of Steamboat, and that will close us for today. We will be back with more right after this.